The Harvest Protocol. Julian Nash stared at the datapad in his trembling hands, his weathered face illuminated by its pale blue glow. The encrypted files he'd stolen from the Centaurian embassy confirmed his worst fears. Humanity wasn't just being monitored by the alien races of the Galactic Concordat. They were being harvested. The cramped confines of his apartment's safe room felt even smaller as the implications sank in. For decades, the Concordat had presented itself as humanity's benevolent guide to the stars, offering advanced technology and protection. But their true interest lay in a unique biological compound produced by human bodies, a substance they called essence. Julian ran his fingers through his graying hair, remembering his years as a cargo pilot. How many times had he transported mysterious medical containers from Earth to alien worlds? How many times had he looked the other way, content with the generous payments and assurances that it was all for scientific research? A sharp knock at his door made him freeze. Through the security feed, he saw three figures in the dim hallway, two hulking Centaurians flanking a slim human woman in a business suit. Julian's heart raced. They couldn't know he had the files. He'd been careful, using all the tricks he'd learned in his military days. Mr. Nash. The woman's voice carried clearly through the door. I'm Andrea Walsh from the Department of Interspecies Relations. We need to discuss your recent activities. Julian silently activated his apartment's security protocols. Hidden panels slid shut over the windows as he gathered his emergency pack. They'd found him faster than expected. He'd need to move quickly. Mr. Nash, please. We only want to talk. Walsh's tone remained pleasant, but Julian caught the subtle whir of energy weapons powering up. The Centaurians weren't here for a chat. He pulled up the building's maintenance schematics on his datapad. The ventilation system connected to the adjacent structure, an escape route, if he could reach it. But first, he needed to ensure the data reached the right people. Julian activated his secure comm channel. Operative Blackwood, Initiation Protocol 793. Authorization Nash Delta 7. He attached the encrypted files and hit send, just as the door began to glow red from the Centaurians' cutting tools. Our patience is limited, Mr. Nash, Walsh called out, her friendly facade cracking. Don't make this more difficult than it needs to be. Julian smiled grimly as his comm confirmed the transmission's completion. He'd served in the Earth Defense Force for 20 years before becoming a pilot. He knew how to handle difficult situations. The ventilation grate came loose with a quiet pop. Julian could hear the door's molecules breaking down under the alien cutting beam. He'd only have seconds once they breached the apartment. As he pulled himself into the narrow shaft, Julian thought of his late wife Maria. She'd always said his curiosity would get him into trouble one day. He could almost hear her laughing. Oh, Jules, she would have said, at least make it worth the trouble. The door disintegrated in a shower of molecular ash. Julian was already moving through the ventilation system, his military training keeping his movements silent despite his age. Behind him, he heard Walsh cursing as they discovered the empty apartment. Find him, she snarled, her pleasant tone completely gone. The overseer wants him alive, but accidents happen. Julian reached the junction connecting to the adjacent building. The data was safe, transmitted to someone who would know what to do with it. Now he just had to survive long enough to make contact with the resistance he knew must exist. Someone had to be fighting back. As he emerged onto the roof of the neighboring building, Julian saw patrol ships rising between the skyscrapers. Their searchlights cut through the night sky like accusing fingers. The hunt was on. But Julian Nash had just lit the fuse of a revolution, and no force in the galaxy could stop that fire from spreading. Humanity would soon learn the truth about their supposed alien benefactors. And when they did, the Concordat would learn why humans were more than just a resource to be harvested. They were a force to be reckoned with. The chase was on, but this was just the beginning. The real war, humanity's fight for freedom, was about to begin. Underground resistance. Dr. Samira Patel studied the holographic data streaming across her lab's display, her dark eyes narrowing at the implications. The genetic markers were unmistakable. The essence the concordat harvested wasn't just any biological compound. It was fundamentally tied to human DNA, impossible to synthesize artificially. The secret underground lab beneath New Delhi's sprawling megacity housed equipment that would make most research institutions envious. But unlike the public facilities, this lab served a different purpose. Here, Dr. Patel and her team worked to understand the true nature of the alien harvest, and how to stop it. "Doctor, you need to see this." Her assistant, Raj, called from his workstation. "The latest sample shows signs of adaptation." Samira moved to his station, her traditional sari rustling softly. The molecular structure displayed on his screen confirmed her worst fears. The concordat wasn't just harvesting humans, they were trying to modify them to increase production. A quiet chime announced an incoming transmission. The lab security system recognized the signature. It was from their operative inside the concordat's medical division. Samira's heart raced as she decoded the message. "They're accelerating the program," she announced to her team. "The overseer has authorized full-scale implementation of the enhancement protocol." The implications were chilling. Millions of humans would be secretly altered, their bodies transformed into more efficient essence production facilities. The concordat was about to cross a line from exploitation to genetic manipulation on a massive scale. "What about the Nash data?" Raj asked, referring to the files their resistance cell had received days ago. "Does it give us anything we can use?" Samira nodded grimly. "It confirms what we suspected about the distribution network. The concordat's using regular cargo shipments to move the essence off-world. But it also showed us something else." She pulled up the encrypted files, highlighting a specific section. "They're vulnerable to certain frequencies. The essence becomes unstable when exposed to specific radiation patterns." The lab erupted in excited murmurs. This was the breakthrough they'd been searching for, a potential weapon against their oppressors. But before they could celebrate, the lab's proximity alerts flashed red. Someone was accessing the building above them, someone using concordat security codes. "Lockdown protocol," Samira ordered, her voice steady despite her racing pulse. "Encrypt everything. Prepare for data purge." Her team moved with practiced efficiency, the result of countless drills. They all knew the risks when they joined the resistance. Getting caught meant worse than death, it meant becoming test subjects for the concordat's experiments. Dr. Patel, a synthetic voice crackled through the lab speakers. "This is Enforcement Unit 7. We have detected unauthorized research activities in this sector. Surrender now and receive minimal correction." Samira activated the lab's emergency beacon, alerting other resistance cells to the breach. Then she initiated the secondary protocol, the one they hoped they'd never need to use. "Everyone to the escape tunnels," she commanded. "Take only essential data. The rest burns." As her team evacuated, Samira transferred their most critical findings to a quantum-encrypted drive. The genetic analysis, the frequency research, the distribution networks, everything the resistance would need to continue their work. Above, she could hear the concordat forces beginning their breach. The reinforced doors wouldn't hold them for long. "Doctor, we need to go." Raj called from the escape tunnel entrance. Samira took one last look at her lab, at years of secret research and sacrifice. Then she activated the purge sequence. Explosions rocked the facility as equipment and samples were destroyed, leaving nothing for the concordat to find. As she fled through the tunnels with her team, Samira thought of all the humans who didn't know they were being harvested, modified, transformed into biological factories for alien consumption. The concordat saw them as livestock to be optimized. But they had made a crucial mistake. They had given humanity's brightest minds a reason to unite against them. And now, thanks to Julian Nash's data and her team's research, they had a weapon. The war for human genetic independence was about to enter a new phase. And Dr. Samira Patel would make sure humanity's essence remained their own. In the darkness of the escape tunnels, she clutched the data drive close. The resistance had cells everywhere, hidden in plain sight. They would regroup, rebuild, and continue their work. The Concordat thought they were dealing with simple test subjects. They were about to learn that humans were far more dangerous when cornered. The breaking point. Captain Marcus Reed adjusted his maintenance uniform, checking his reflection in the polished surface of the Concordat processing facility. The stolen credentials should get him through the outer security perimeter, but after that, he'd be deep in enemy territory with no backup. The massive facility loomed above him, its crystalline spires stretching into the smog-filled sky of New Shanghai. From the outside, it appeared to be just another alien medical research center. But the intelligence provided by Dr. Patel's team painted a different picture. This was where the Concordat performed their enhancement procedures on unwitting human subjects. Remember, Captain, Dr. Patel's voice crackled through his subdermal communicator, the monitoring systems can detect synthetic DNA. Stay calm. Your natural readings should mask the sensor implants. Marcus grunted in acknowledgement as he approached the security checkpoint. 5 years in Earth Defense Force Special Operations had taught him how to maintain his composure, but this was different. He'd never faced anything like the Concordat's biotechnology. The security scanner hummed as it passed over him. A Drachnid guard, its chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the harsh lights, studied the readout. Marcus kept his eyes down, playing the role of a simple maintenance worker. Proceed, the guard chittered, waving him through. Marcus moved deeper into the facility, following the memorized route to the central processing core. The corridors were eerily clean, the air thick with the sweet metallic scent of alien disinfectants. Through transparent walls, he could see labs where white-suited figures worked on complex equipment. First objective, he subvocalized, knowing the communicator would pick it up. Accessing the primary database. He found an empty terminal in a maintenance alcove and plugged in the quantum decoder Dr. Patel had provided. The alien symbols on the screen flickered and transformed into readable text. What he found made his blood run cold. They're not just harvesting essence, he transmitted. They're using it to create some kind of hybrid biological system. The enhancement protocol, it's designed to turn humans into living factories. Can you access the subject records? Dr. Patel asked. Marcus navigated through the files, his horror growing. Thousands of names. Politicians, military personnel, corporate leaders, they're targeting people in positions of influence. Once enhanced, they'll be under Concordat control. An alarm suddenly blared through the facility. Marcus quickly disconnected the decoder, but kept downloading data to his implants. Captain, you've been detected, Dr. Patel's voice was urgent. Multiple security teams converging on your position. Marcus was already moving, heading for his secondary objective, the processing core itself. If he was going to be caught, he'd make it count. He rounded a corner and found himself face to face with a group of enhanced humans being led by Concordat handlers. Their eyes were vacant, bodies swollen and distorted by the alien modifications. This was humanity's future if the Concordat wasn't stopped. Intruder! A handler shouted, reaching for a weapon. Marcus was faster. Years of combat training took over as he disabled the handlers with precise strikes. But he couldn't bring himself to harm the enhanced humans, they were victims, not enemies. The core, he transmitted as he ran. I'm seeing signs of quantum instability. The frequency weakness in the essence, it's more than just a vulnerability. It's a way to reverse the process. He burst into the core chamber, a vast circular room dominated by pulsing crystalline structures. This was where the essence was processed, refined, and shipped off-world. Security forces were closing in. Marcus pulled out the quantum resonator he'd smuggled in pieces past the scanners. If Dr. Patel's theories were correct, this would do more than just destroy the facility. Captain, get out of there. Dr. Patel pleaded. The core's reaction could be catastrophic. Marcus set the resonator's frequency to match the pattern they discovered in Nash's data. No time. But if this works, the enhanced humans might have a chance at recovery. He activated the device just as concordat forces breached the chamber. The crystalline core began to vibrate, its color shifting from blue to angry red. For Earth, Marcus whispered, and pressed the detonator. The explosion that followed wasn't just physical, it was a quantum cascade that rippled through the facility's biotechnology network. Enhanced humans collapsed as the alien modifications in their bodies broke down. Marcus was thrown against a wall, his consciousness fading. But through the chaos, he saw the core's destruction spreading through the facility's systems, corrupting the concordat's precious essence stores. The last thing he heard before blackness took him was Dr. Patel's voice, "Captain, you did it. The frequency works. We can fight back." The breaking point had been reached. The concordat's hold over humanity had just suffered its first major blow, and the resistance finally had proof, their oppressors weren't invincible. The war for human freedom was about to escalate, and Captain Marcus Reed's sacrifice would not be in vain. Seeds of Revolution. Commander Diana Frost surveyed the holographic map of Earth's major cities, each point of light representing a confirmed resistance cell. What had started as scattered groups of rebels was becoming an organized force. Captain Reed's sacrifice at the Shanghai facility had proven the Concordat could be hurt. The underground command center, hidden deep beneath the ruins of Old Boston, hummed with activity. Analysts pored over data stolen from Concordat systems, while communication officers coordinated with cells worldwide. This was humanity's real power center now, not the puppet governments that bowed to alien demands. Status report on Operation Sunbreak, Diana commanded, her cybernetic eye scanning the incoming data streams. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant James Rodriguez, stepped forward. Dr. Patel's frequency weapon has been successfully replicated. We've distributed the schematics to manufacturing cells on every continent. Production begins in 48 hours. Diana nodded, her silver-streaked hair catching the dim light. After 20 years in Earth's Special Forces, she knew the importance of timing. And the enhanced victims? Responding to treatment. The quantum cascade from Shanghai disrupted the Concordat's control protocols. We're seeing an 80% recovery rate among those we've rescued. It was better news than they dared hope for. The Concordat's genetic modifications weren't permanent, humanity could be saved. But they needed to strike soon, before the aliens adapted their technology. A priority alert flashed across the command screens. Diana's cybernetic implant processed the information instantly. They're moving up the timeline. The Concordat's launching mass enhancement procedures in major population centers. The command center erupted in controlled chaos as analysts confirmed the intel. The aliens were desperate, trying to tighten their grip before humanity could fully mobilize. We're not ready, Rodriguez warned. The frequency weapons are still in production. If we move now dash. We move now or we lose everything, Diana cut him off. Alert all cells. Operation Sunbreak begins immediately. She pulled up the secure channel to Dr. Patel's new research facility. The scientist's hologram appeared, looking exhausted but determined. "Commander, I've completed the analysis of Captain Reed's final transmission," Samira reported. The quantum resonance effect isn't just disrupting the essence production, it's creating a feedback loop in their entire biotechnology network. Diana's organic eye narrowed. Meaning we can turn their own harvest protocols against them. Every enhanced human we free weakens their control system. If we can trigger a cascading failure, we can bring down their entire operation, Diana finished. "Doctor, how fast can you weaponize this?" "Give me 12 hours. "But Commander, the Concordat will detect any large-scale quantum disturbance. They'll respond with everything they have." Diana's scarred face broke into a grim smile. Good. Let them come. Humanity's done hiding. She turned to address the command center. This is what we've been waiting for. The Concordat thought they could farm us like cattle, harvest our essence, and reshape us into their docile servants. They forgot something important about humans: we don't break. We adapt. We fight back. Screens around the room showed resistance cells worldwide acknowledging the command activation. Underground factories spun up production lines. Medical teams prepared for casualties. Combat units moved into position. They want our essence. Diana's voice carried steel and fire. Let's show them the true essence of humanity. Launch the attack. All cells, execute Operation Sunbreak. Authorization Frost Alpha 1. Across the globe, hidden resistance fighters emerged from the shadows. Frequency weapons powered up, targeting Concordat facilities. Transport ships carrying stolen essence exploded in orbit. Enhanced humans in containment began breaking free of their programming. Diana watched the chaos unfold on her tactical displays. This wasn't just a rebellion anymore, it was an awakening. Humanity had endured subjugation, exploitation, and genetic manipulation. Now they would show the Concordat why Earth had survived countless disasters, wars, and invasions. Incoming transmission from Concordat High Command, an officer reported. Put them through, Diana ordered. Let's hear what they have to say. The alien overseer's hologram appeared, its crystalline form pulsing with barely contained rage. This insurrection will be crushed. Your species will submit. Diana stood tall, facing humanity's tormentor. No. We won't. You should have learned by now, humans don't make good slaves. We're done being your cattle. We're done being harvested. She terminated the transmission with a gesture. The seeds of revolution had been planted long ago, in every act of defiance, every secret experiment, every hidden act of resistance. Now those seeds would bloom into humanity's liberation. The war for Earth's freedom had begun in earnest. And Commander Diana Frost would make sure it ended with humanity standing free. Dawn of Reckoning. The sky above Earth burned. Concordat warships clashed with hastily assembled human defense forces, their weapons turning the upper atmosphere into a light show of destructive energy. But the real battle wasn't being fought in space, it was happening in laboratories, processing centers, and enhancement facilities worldwide. Commander Diana Frost watched from the mobile command center as Dr. Patel initiated the quantum resonance cascade. The device they'd created by combining Nash's stolen data and Reed's sacrifice was ready to deliver humanity's verdict. All cells report ready, Lieutenant Rodriguez announced. Frequency weapons aligned. We're detecting massive instability in the Concordat's biotechnology network. Diana's cybernetic eye tracked the cascade spread across the global grid. Dr. Patel, status. Samira's hologram flickered with interference from the orbital battle. The quantum feedback is exceeding predictions. Their entire system is becoming unstable. But Commander, the enhanced humans in their facilities will be freed, Diana finished. The cascade will break down the modifications. We have medical teams standing by. Reports flooded in from around the world. Concordat processing centers were failing, their crystalline technology shattering under the quantum assault. Enhanced humans were awakening from their slave-like state, their bodies rejecting the alien modifications. But the Concordat wasn't going down without a fight. Their ground forces launched desperate attacks on resistance positions, trying to stop the cascade spread. They're targeting the resonance transmitters. Rodriguez shouted as alerts flashed across the screens. Diana's fingers flew across the tactical display. Redirect defense units. Nothing stops those transmitters. The cascade has to complete. Above, the orbital battle reached its climax. Human ships, aided by the quantum disruption, pressed their advantage against the failing Concordat fleet. Alien vessels began falling from the sky, their biotech systems corrupted by the same frequency that was liberating Earth. "Commander," Samira's voice was urgent. "The Overseer's flagship is preparing a final attack. They're going to try to neutralize the cascade with a concentrated quantum pulse." Diana had been waiting for this. "All units, execute Protocol Omega. Authorization Frost Final." Hidden weapons platforms around the globe activated, targeting the Overseer's position with precise coordination. This was humanity's ultimate gambit, technology they'd secretly developed using the Concordat's own research against them. The alien ship's defenses buckled under the combined assault. But before it fell, the Overseer's voice boomed across all frequencies. "You primitives, you don't understand. The harvest was necessary. Your essence, it sustains our civilization. Without it, we die." Diana's response was cold. "You should have asked." The quantum cascade reached critical mass. Around the world, Concordat technology collapsed in a chain reaction of destructive energy. Their great processing facilities, their enhancement chambers, their harvest machines, all of it disintegrated under the power of humanity's retribution. The Overseer's flagship exploded in a spectacular display of quantum energy, raining debris across the upper atmosphere. With their leadership destroyed and their technology in ruins, the remaining Concordat forces began to retreat. In the command center, celebrations broke out as victory reports poured in. But Diana wasn't celebrating yet. She opened a channel to all resistance cells. "This is Commander Frost. The Concordat is broken, but our work isn't done. There are enhanced humans who need our help. There are wounds that need healing. And there's a message we need to send to any other species thinking of exploiting Earth." She paused, looking at the faces of her fellow fighters, Dr. Patel, Lieutenant Rodriguez, the countless others who had risked everything for this moment. "Humanity's essence is our own. We are not cattle to be harvested, not resources to be exploited. We are a sovereign species, and we will defend our right to exist as free beings. Let the galaxy hear our declaration: Earth is under humanity's protection. And we will never submit to slavery again." As the sun rose over a liberated Earth, Diana thought of those who hadn't lived to see this day: Julian Nash, who exposed the truth, Captain Reed, who proved the Concordat could be hurt, and countless others who had sacrificed everything for freedom. The dawn of humanity's new era had arrived. The harvest was over. And any species thinking of testing Earth's resolve would find a united human race ready to defend their home, their essence, and their right to determine their own destiny. The age of exploitation was over. The age of human sovereignty had begun.